Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really jumping into something pretty fundamental if you're chasing success. Specialized knowledge and what is real power is.
Yeah, and we're digging into a classic source for this Think and Grow Rich. Specifically, we're looking at Chapter 6 and some of the editor's notes around it.
Right. Our mission here is to unpack what this material tells us about the kind of knowledge that actually, leads to real results, not just knowing stuff.
And maybe even more importantly, how you get that knowledge and, crucially, how you put it to work effectively.
Okay, so be ready, because this might challenge some things you've always thought about, like education and knowledge and getting ahead.
Totally. The source kind of suggests that maybe what we think education is might be incomplete, or maybe even a bit off track for achieving big goals.
Like, what if knowledge itself isn't power? What if formal schooling? Well, what if it isn't the only path? Maybe not even the best path to being truly educated for success, especially financial success.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The source makes this big distinction up front. General knowledge versus specialized knowledge.
Yeah, and it's pretty direct about it. Basically, it says general knowledge, the kind you'd find, everywhere, like universities are full of it.
Right.
It's actually of little use when your specific goal is accumulating money.
It uses the example of university professors, doesn't it? They might have vast general knowledge, maybe even deep specialized knowledge in their academic field, but often not a lot of money. The argument being their specialty is teaching knowledge, not necessarily organizing and using it to create wealth.
Which brings us to maybe the biggest takeaway from this whole section.
Yeah.
Knowledge isn't automatically power.
Exactly. It's potential power. That's the key phrase.
But it only becomes actual power when you organize it, put it into definite plans.
And aim those plans at a very specific, definite goal. Without that organization and direction, it's just stuff you know.
And this is where the source kind of takes aim at traditional education. It suggests schools load you up with facts, with knowledge.
Yeah.
But don't really teach you how to organize it.
Yeah.
Or how to apply it in a practical way to get what you want.
So what does it mean to be educated then, according to this book?
It's different.
It's not about how much you know, right?
Not primarily. It's about developing your mind so you can acquire anything you want or its equivalent, without stepping on anyone else's toes.
So it's the ability to get what you need, which includes knowing where to find knowledge when you need it.
Right.
And then crucially, knowing how to organize that knowledge into actual plans, actionable steps.
And this is where that Henry Ford story comes in. It's such a powerful illustration.
Oh, yeah, the courtroom scene. Remind us what happened there.
Okay, so Ford was sued by a newspaper. They called him ignorant. And their lawyers tried to prove it in court by asking him general knowledge questions.
Like trivia, basically.
Yeah.
Who was Benedict Arnold? How many British soldiers fought in 1776? That kind of stuff.
Exactly. Stuff totally unrelated to making cars. And Ford's response was just brilliant. He didn't know the exact number of soldiers, but he knew more came than went back, something like that.
Yeah, a witty comeback. But then he got serious. He pointed at the lawyer and said something like, "Look, I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk.
All right, the buttons.
And by pushing the right button, I can summon people who do know the answer to any question related to my business." He basically asked, why should he clutter his mind with general facts when he had instant access to the specialized expertise he actually needed?
And the source argues that response proved he was truly educated.
By its definition, absolutely. Not because of what was stored in his memory, but because he knew where to get the knowledge and how to organize it for his definite purpose. Building his car empire, that's a huge shift in perspective on education.
It really is. And it leads perfectly into the next concept Ford apparently mastered.
Yeah.
The mastermind group.
Yes. The book defines this as coordinating knowledge and effort working together in harmony.
Between two or more people.
All focused on the same definite purpose.
And the editor's comments make a really important distinction here. This isn't just standard teamwork.
No, it's different. Teamwork can happen for lots of reasons. People might just like their boss or feel obligated, or maybe everyone has slightly different, even competing goals, but they're, cooperating loosely.
Like maybe a board of directors where everyone has their own agenda.
Exactly. Or musicians playing together, but mainly for their own careers. A mastermind, though.
Yeah.
That's deeper.
It's about a truly shared agenda, a shared mission. Everyone committed to the exact same outcome.
And it fosters this higher level of thinking where ideas build on each other. The source really pushes you to form these kinds of alliances intentionally.
Okay, so building fortunes requires power. And that power comes from organized, directed, specialized knowledge.
Right. And here's the really hopeful part, connecting back to Ford and the mastermind idea. That crucial specialized knowledge doesn't have to be solely in your head.
You don't have to know everything yourself.
No. This should be super encouraging for anyone who feels like they lack formal education or maybe has a bit of an inferiority complex about it.
Because if you can organize and direct a group, your mastermind, who do have the needed knowledge, then for the purpose of achieving that goal, you are effectively just as educated as anyone in that group. You're orchestrating the power.
The source points to people like Thomas Edison. 3 months of formal schooling?
Yep. And Henry Ford again, less than 6th grade.
And then there's Einstein. The editor's comments on him are fascinating. Like today, he might get an ADD diagnosis.
Possibly. Slow to talk, didn't shine early academically, even got expelled from a school.
And his breakthroughs weren't just about knowing physics and math formulas, were they?
No, a huge part was his intense focus on his chosen goal and, critically, his imagination. Those thought experiments. Picturing himself riding a beam of light.
Wow.
It shows that imagination, combined with that focused effort, is just as vital, maybe even more so sometimes, than just the raw, specialized knowledge.
Okay, so specialized knowledge is the target. And you don't have to possess it all personally, but how do you get it when you need it?
The book says it's actually plentiful and relatively cheap if you know where to look. Think about the salaries paid to experts in various fields.
So the skill isn't just knowing stuff, it's knowing how to acquire it.
Yeah.
How to purchase it, so to speak, or where to find it.
Exactly. First step, obviously, is defining what specialized knowledge you actually need for your specific goal. Your definite purpose drives this.
Makes sense. And then where do you look?
Well, the source lists several reliable places. Your own experience and education are starting points, obviously.
Okay.
Then the cooperation of others, your mastermind group, is key here.
Right.
Colleges and universities, places where knowledge is already organized,
Mm-hmm.
public libraries, and today, of course, the internet is a massive resource, unimaginable back then.
Huge.
And the source puts a lot of emphasis on special training courses, things like night schools, home study, corresponding courses, especially if you do them while you're working.
But, and it keeps coming back to this, just getting the knowledge isn't the end game.
Not at all. It's useless unless it's organized and applied, used in practical plans towards your definite goal.
So successful people are lifelong learners, always seeking knowledge relevant to their purpose.
Precisely. While the unsuccessful often think learning stops when school ends, they miss that school should ideally teach you how to keep acquiring practical knowledge forever.
And connecting this to, the bigger picture, the editor's comments brought in some outside perspectives that really back this up.
Yeah, like that Columbia University placement director who said character, intelligence, maybe meaning general aptitude and personality were more important than specific degrees for job candidates.
Right, and there was mention of studies showing things like SAT scores or IQ tests.
Yeah.
They aren't actually great predictors of success out in the real world.
Which again supports the idea that standard academic measures don't tell the whole story.
And then Daniel Goleman's work on emotional intelligence, EI, gets brought up.
Mm-hmm. Also in the editor's notes, Goleman's research makes a strong case that EI, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management is a much better predictor of success, particularly in leadership roles, than just IQ.
That's pretty powerful. It suggests that skills you can actually develop how you handle yourself and others are maybe more valuable for getting ahead than just raw brain power. It offers hope, doesn't it?
Absolutely, especially if you feel intimidated by traditional measures of intelligence.
The source also touches on something interesting. The value we place on knowledge we pay for or struggle for versus free knowledge.
Yeah, it suggests that things obtained too easily without cost or effort often aren't valued. Maybe that's why free resources like libraries or even public schools are sometimes underutilized.
The correspondence school example really drives this home. The author recounts paying for a home study course, falling behind.
But because they had paid, there was this legal and financial obligation. The school's follow-up actually forced them to finish it.
And the source says that process, being forced to decide, act promptly, and see it through, was incredibly valuable training. It built discipline, promptness, the habit of finishing things.
Exactly. Habits that are worth actual money, maybe even more than the specific subject learned, forged through effort and, cost.
It ties into what the book calls a universal weakness.
Yeah.
Lack of ambition.
Right. And taking specialized courses, especially on your own time while working, is seen as a clear sign of ambition.
It signals to employers or potential partners that you have leadership qualities, that you're investing in yourself.
And the source is pretty clear. People who consistently use their spare time for self-improvement rarely stay stuck at the bottom. They create their own upward momentum. They get noticed.
Which leads to another really counterintuitive idea, challenging the notion that you have to start at the bottom.
Yeah, the book argues the view from the bottom isn't great. It can kill ambition. It's easy to just get stuck in that routine.
And there's that amazing story about the woman marketing her son. He just finished college, couldn't find work.
Right. Instead of telling him to take any old entry-level job, she helps him create this, detailed presentation, almost 50 pages.
Not just a resume. It marketed him, his skills, experience, personality, but also defined the exact junior executive role he wanted and outlined his plan for it.
She even had him research the competitors. Super thorough.
And the result? First interview, lands the job he defined at the salary he wanted.
Boom. Skips maybe 10 years of climbing the ladder.
So the argument is starting higher helps you develop better habits, seeing opportunities, being where opportunity can find you.
Exactly. Like the Dan Halpin example. Starts in sales during the Depression, but his aim is assistant sales manager.
The step up.
A strategic step up. It put him in a position with better visibility, both for him to see the industry and for the industry to see him.
And because he was visible and clearly driven like his hero, the coach, Knute Rockne.
Opportunity found him. A competitor recruited him, and he rose quickly to VP. It's about positioning and association.
Okay, so pulling it all together.
Yeah.
What's the core philosophy here?
It seems to be that success or failure, it's largely down to things we can control. Often it's about our habits.
And starting low isn't a life sentence, but you need a plan to overcome it.
Definitely. And it comes back to that formula. Ideas plus specialized knowledge plus imagination.
Specialized knowledge is out there, accessible. Ideas are maybe a bit rarer.
But the real magic ingredient, the source suggests, is imagination, the capability to take that knowledge and those ideas and combine them into organized, practical plans that actually create results.
The book gives some great business examples of this, right?
Yeah, like the mobile accounting business idea. Someone took bookkeeping knowledge,
Specialized knowledge.
added the idea of making it portable, used imagination to see the need among small businesses, and organized it into a service.
Or Bill Gates, mentioned in the editor's notes. Programming knowledge, obviously. Intense desire.
But also huge imagination about where personal computers were going, and crucial business knowledge like licensing MS-DOS instead of selling it. That was strategic genius combining knowledge and foresight.
Focused on the goal, ignoring stuff that didn't serve it.
Totally. Then you've got Mary Kay Ash. Sales management knowledge plus imagination, envisioning a whole different kind of business model, empowering women, plus skincare knowledge. Result: Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Neil Bolter. California Closets. Carpentry skills.
Basic knowledge.
Plus the imagination to see messy closets as a massive business opportunity. Then acquiring the specialized knowledge of franchising to scale it up.
Lillian Vernon. New handbags and belts. Imagination sparks the idea of personalization, then layers on mail order and catalog marketing knowledge. Builds an empire.
Walter P. Chrysler. Machinist. New steam engines. Buys a car, takes it apart, puts it back together again and again.
Using his existing knowledge plus imagination and focused effort to gain the new specialized knowledge he needed for the auto industry. Deliberate acquisition.
These stories really show the power of that combination. And the source suggests there's huge opportunity, especially in marketing your own services, if you combine specialized knowledge with imagination.
Yeah, like the woman who marketed her son. She turned that process itself into a specialized service, helping others aim higher from the start.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, let's nail down the key takeaways.
Well, first, success isn't just about how much general knowledge you have or how many degrees. It's about getting the right specialized knowledge for your specific purpose.
Right. And then knowing how to organize it, how to apply it through practical plans.
Often leveraging other people's knowledge, too, through something like a mastermind group.
And absolutely critical, combining all that with imagination and sheer determination to follow through.
And importantly, getting that specialized knowledge, it's accessible, not just through schools. Self-study, special courses, collaboration, lots of paths.
So what this deep dive really tells you, the listener, is pretty empowering, isn't it?
I think so. If you have that definite purpose, that clear goal, you can find or acquire the specialized knowledge you need.
You can combine it with your imagination, and you can create your own pathway to success.
And maybe, just maybe, you can start higher up that path than you previously thought possible.
So here's something to think about. What is your definite purpose right now? What specific, specialized knowledge do you need to make it happen?
Yeah, where can you realistically get that knowledge? And how can you spark your imagination to weave it into a unique plan of action that's all your own?